We've got to protect our children. They need our hands. We've got to stand up. Yeah, stand.
Hey, M3, Ian Mitchell here. I got to tell you, this one means a lot to me. From my own home perspective, personally, this is an interview with a young man named Caden Johnson, and truly an example of a person living with heart. We're going to be talking about a solution that he brought to market with the help of his dad, but he brought to market. He taught himself how to do all this coding and AI, and what he's bringing. This is only the early stages of what is now called GuardianLock. He brought to market and is a solution that's available out of the box from Apple to protect children from seeing images that they don't need to be exposed to. And not just children, honestly, but this is a Protect Our Children series, but this is a device that's a safe device. We had Sharon Percy on several months ago. They're changing the world on a global scale with similar technology. This one is domestic through Verizon, for mainly Apple. And this is just, between what Sharon and Richard Percy are doing with SafePhoneNet and this platform, I got to tell you, it's so encouraging to see how technology is being used to to protect children, to make a safer world, safer culture. This is exciting. So great conversation. It's a brief conversation with Caden. We get into a little bit of his story, but really my ask is here, if you have anyone that you know needs a safe device out of the box that has no real ways around it. I've been testing this thing for months. It's a great device. It's what I use. Um, then sign up for it. Bree's going to show the QR code here, and I would love for you to listen, check out their website. And as you're looking at bringing and introducing devices to your home, especially for young ones, or you have a child that you're like, hey, I could use a little bit more parental control than what is available today, check this out. Check GuardianLock out. Again, great family, wonderful young man. And I love to see solutions like this get a lot of traction. So thank you again, Bree, for everything. Thank you for watching this. And here we go. Caden, brother, thank you for being here, man. It's so good to have you here. We've been talking about this forever. And I just love that we finally got it on the calendars, man. And I love the fact that I'm actually in a point where I can talk about, they're going to hear, about your GuardianLock solution. And I've been using it for months now and testing it out. And I love the fact that I've had a chance to sit with the platform. But dude, thank you for being here, man.
Absolutely. No, pleasure to be on. Thanks for having me.
And you've been such a blessing, not only to like a community of people in the Clapham and other groups around fighting human trafficking, but then recently to my son, Liam. And I just love that you're an inspiration to a lot of folks, and I can't wait to people here to see your story. So let's start there, Caden. Who are you? Who's Caden?
Sounds good. Yeah, so I'm Caden Johnson, based out of Arizona, born and raised my whole life. I started out kind of early in the Christian faith, kind of brought up inside the church. My dad was a big tech guy, and I kind of got a niche for tech slowly as his career progressed. Started introducing to new tech and iPhones and iPods and all of that sort of thing, and yeah, from there, just kind of grew up in the tech world, and it's always been a part of who I am, alongside with my faith and just kind of the vibe to help people. So
Dude, I love that. I think there's an emergence of young adults like yourself that are coming in and merging that passion for doing good with also business, and you're a shining star example of that. Is this something that you plan? Like you said, I've been doing tech, but is this like what we're going to talk about, writing solutions and stuff? Is this something you plan on getting into? I mean, if I were to sit down with an 18-year-old Caden Johnson, could you imagine yourself doing what you're doing today?
never, no. I actually went to college for biblical studies and wanted to be a music pastor. And so tech was kind of off. I wasn't, yeah, I was always kind of in the tech world, but never thought this would be a career. In fact, in the beginning years of college, I always said, I'll never turn out like my dad. I never want the stress of it. Technology is the most stressful field, in my opinion, that you could get into with consumers and customer support and marketing and all of these different sides of tech, and then cybersecurity outside of that, and AI as it's growing. and taking a look at that, saying, I'll just praise Jesus with a guitar and shepherd people. And that was my passion for a really long time. And then I feel like God kind of slowly moved my heart into, but we can bring that into the technology field. And that's what the world really needs right now, is the combination of two worlds. I mean, it's such a dark, separate world, then you wouldn't collide them. And when you do, it turns out to be something really beautiful. So
That's powerful, man. It's interesting how so many young people say, I don't want anything to do with what my dad does or my parents do. And Brian's just an awesome human being. And it's interesting how you've come full circle. And Liam's doing that, kind of, my oldest is doing that too. And it's just wild because he's like, I want to do engineering and I don't want anything to do with finance or scams. And, he's doing some of that now. So it's really cool, the journey. So let's talk about the crimes that we're talking about. Again, this is the Protect Our Children series. When I kind of say that to you, what does that mean? Like, what is something you're particularly passionate about related to protecting children that maybe resonates?
absolutely. Yeah. So a part of my story, in that growing up in tech, I was exposed in a sense to technology early on. So my dad had set up when I first got the original iPod 4, and I had an old Kindle, and I would, go to bed at night and then pop them out and start scrolling. And he would have like a circle, a Disney circle is the Wi-Fi web filtering box. And he would have those kind of things set up. But of course, being a technology kid, working my way around it and slowly exposing myself online to the point where, it became something that I was like, this is a problem. You can access all kinds of, adult content, dark web type of stuff, sales that shouldn't be online, all of this sort of thing. And then just the time of it, no self-control, just doom scrolling all throughout the night. And so further and further on into my teenage years, realizing that this is a problem, talking to kids around me, saying, this isn't just a me thing. Every kid my age in this generation was kind of the guinea pig in a sense for the big tech companies. So a very passionate and personal thing for me is exploitation online. Seeing the amount of just adult default accessible content for children is terribly sad to me, and it scared me because I've got younger cousins and younger siblings. So that's been my huge passion, and the reason I started GuardianLock is to say, with my personal experience seeing and raised up in technology, this is an issue that needs to be fixed, and it hasn't been. So
The prevalence of adult content now is just unbelievable. It's all stuff we all know. And no matter how much parents try to protect their kids with the built-in parental controls, I know it manifested itself in my home early on. And even though I locked everything down, there's still ways around it and ways through apps and all this kind of stuff. And, again, it's just a natural part of growing up to be curious. But what this whole online content does is just introduces curiosity and creates it down a path that is not intended. And nor do I think that kids are necessarily going down that path intentionally, but it creates some hooks that end up being a lifelong challenge. And this is what I love about your platform. We're going to get into that in a second. But to me, it's so important to protect young eyes, because I also know a lot of adult men, and I've written about this even in my life, just trying to continue to have pure eyes and pure minds as we walk through this is a constant thing, because everything is online and everything is so easily accessible. And so trying to make sure that we put the right boundaries and safeguards in our homes, I think so that's what you're on the mission to do, is make that a reality.
yes, absolutely. And it's not even, we can take it from, there's things online that kids should not be exposed to. And that's one side of it from a parental point of view. Hey, be careful, there's bad things online. But even from a big tech kind of view, they're targeting kids, and they're targeting adults and young men who's, just like you said, vulnerable eyes, impressionable minds, and they're targeting those with specific algorithms and specific things that they're pushing in order to get you to watch a certain kind of content or see how far they can go with the limits, sell you a product, all of those things. That's exactly what I'm trying to punch it in the face. Big tech, bully big tech into realizing people care enough that it's not just, hey, watch out when your kid's on a phone. It's, hey, the way that the phone comes as default is incorrect, is wrong, and it shouldn't be like that. And they need to know that we care. So yeah, that's the whole
Wow.
mission behind it.
It's interesting when I talk to individuals in technology, big tech, and in the scams fight with um, the telecommunications. Individually, they all care. So we talk about this construct of big tech and big whatever, and so I find that individually, a lot of them I talk to are just like, no, we got to fight this. And then when you put all this stuff together, it creates a product that actually is easily exploited, or intentionally weak, or whatever it is. But maximizing profit, it's one of those that having technologies and tools to now that they can easily deploy. I think, how are you finding it? I mean, let's go into your solution if you don't mind, because what's really awesome about your solution, and I had Sharon Percy on, and she's taking the world by storm. They're not available in the US yet, but what's really unique about your solution is I'm an Apple guy. Everything I have is Apple, and your solution comes like out of the box installed on Apple, and that's unbelievable. So yeah, talk about your platform.
Yeah, so we basically do it's a full bundled deal. So it's a brand new iPhone, or we have a refurbished line as well. But it's a brand new phone shipped in the box, unopened. We don't touch it, jailbreak it, plug it in, upload some weird software, nothing like that. Comes straight from either the Verizon carrier or Apple. And then we can modify kind of the OS level of it to add, layered restrictions in order to keep it safe. And then we bundle that with Verizon as well, unlimited 5G. And then we're building an app. We have kind of a placeholder now, but almost done with a full service app and an AI agent with curated content from individual like doctors and head of child psychology and all sorts of really cool law enforcement, really cool categories. Got leaders in those fields talking about specific issues, and you can see all of the resources there. And then the AI is also trained with it, so you could speak with them as if it's the person. And we bundle all of that into one simple solution, GuardianLock, and then we ship it to the customer. It's a no contract, month by month kind of a thing. Don't grab any personal information. It all lives on the device. It is completely unbreakable. You can't wipe it, can't reset it, anything like that. It'll stick on the phone. So it's kind of the first in the world for being the unremovable safe solution on the iPhone. So
And I think what's important is it doesn't matter what browser or what app or anything, because like that's the beauty of this. It's it's that doesn't matter if they're connected to Wi-Fi or not on Wi-Fi, right? It doesn't, like, it purely locks down everything that goes on that device. Is that right?
yes, that is correct. Yeah, a lot of parental control apps require that you're connected to Wi-Fi or connected to cell. We don't, and then you can delete those. You can go in and delete the app. Or a lot of kids with screen time will change the region that they're in for date and time, and then move the screen time restrictions further out, or work around the password, some kind of a backend, connect to a VPN. None of those things will work with Guardian. It's literally an OS level lockdown on the system. So you could go, I don't know if you're familiar with iOS, but if you DFU is like the developer wiping, resetting the phone, anything like that, any kind of backend jailbreaking, nothing will work because it hits our Apple server and it says that device is Guardian Lock. So very proud. It's taken a long time to get to this point, but
And in testing it out, and I did test it, there, it kind of blurs images, and it's actually on so it's not, it doesn't like not let it pop up. It just cleanses the content, right? So that's in the adult situation. It just like, and it also protects from like some of the sextortion problems around selfies and such. Like it actually protects in that front too. Is that right?
yeah, absolutely. We have custom restrictions you can do to change certain settings depending on what you need for the device. But for an adult, we can have a very non-invasive kind of background sitting, hey, we're looking out for you, but we're not going to make decisions for you. You have to be an adult. And then all the way to, hey, this phone is literally just a phone. It's calling and texting, trusted contacts only sort of thing for kids or adults that really just, want a cell phone. So.
Really true parental controls. And I notice, and as I get my boys on it, like I notice that it's super easy because it's almost like, at least the service I have is like a white glove service. Like you guys have completely helped me configure it in a way that doesn't get in the way of my work, the things that I need to accomplish. And so is that the way, is that how parents and people that get this would expect kind of that level of service?
Absolutely. Yeah. Everything is pre-built so you can choose your restriction level and just kind of say, it's a child and I want it semi-restricted, but enough that they can download apps and do whatever they want within a certain limit. We have those. And then, like I said, all the way to a complete lockdown or non-invasive. And we build everything, custom for the people and put it out there and then you can change it afterwards. So we're trying to make it as white glove as possible. We really want it to be the easiest way. You don't have to pay a Verizon bill, you don't have to pay an iPhone bill, warranty, all of that is covered in one solution. So
What other kinds of, yeah, I call them human crimes. What other kinds of like problems outside of the protecting our children is GuardianLock really positioned to help screen against?
yeah, so we're playing with certain besides protecting children, I mean, we're building inside of that a lot of different categories from, the AI text, like we'll go through texts and see if a certain subject pops up that probably shouldn't be spoken of. We alert the parents, or a selfie maybe that shouldn't have been taken, or, certain things like that inside of it, all the way to Google searches with logs and blocking certain search results in certain categories with smart AI filters and such. And then just educational resources on those too, like I mentioned, the app. But outside of that, we're working with tons of partners, Red Light Rebellion, DCA. We're working with some of the DHS people on giving foster care kids phones after they were included in some sort of an exploitation kind of ordeal. Their phones are confiscated by the police and they never usually get them back. And so in order to have a phone, it has to be a safe phone from one of the DHS people that can say, hey, we can keep track, or we can, check in with you. We can make sure that you're not continued to be exploited. And we work a lot with those guys, sending them refurb phones every month to try to help the foster care kids out there. So
I want to get into your advice for parents, but before we do, clearly Apple's made it possible for you to sit this on their devices. I think as solutions like yours start taking off, do you expect them to listen? Do you expect this to eventually be a situation where, I mean, I hate to even say this, but like where a need for technology like yours is almost not needed because these manufacturers are putting this type of real controls in place out of the box themselves?
absolutely. We really hope so too. The purpose of GuardianLock was to start it out, but the whole bully big tech thing was never meant to say, "Oh, I'm going to start this company, run it all the way up," say, all these bad things about big tech and then, continue to build it. It's not. It's to encourage big tech at the end of the day to say, "Hey, people do care," and I can prove that with the market of saying, "Watch all of these people coming onto the platform saying, I choose to actively and presently be in my child's life on a side of his life that most parents don't go into the digital realm where they just say, you know what, I don't care. I don't want to see it. Just be safe, make smart decisions." That doesn't always work because it's not the kid half the time that's popping up with the content, it's the device. And so by default, a device should come safe for children. And that's the whole thing. We're proving the market, we're proving that there's a need for it, that people want it, that Apple can do it and do better. And so hopefully at the end of the day, Guardian Lock becomes a product rather than is a product. We want it to evolve into something else. And that's big tech saying, hey, you guys have shown you need this. Here's the product to have it. And they build their own thing. That would be amazing.
Congratulations, man. I love the way you're doing business, and clearly having a dad like yours too helps. I mean, the two of you are a great force. Yeah. So let's get into advice. So if we're sitting here and my friends, parents of, my friends that are parents and guardians and anybody stumbles onto this, give some advice to whatever comes to mind to the folks that listen that are guardians or have little ones in their life that they want to protect.
I would say, man, technology can be a really cool place, and I don't think that people should ignore it or push it off in the sense of kids shouldn't have tech in that sense. I think that there's definitely a right age, depending on the family and the situation. There's definitely an age where you can say it's inappropriate for a child to have a device. But to the point where a child does need a device, whether he's at school or driving around, just be aware of what's going on inside that. I mean, there's a whole world that kid lives on the digital scene that's completely separate of his own, physical persona and who he is, just completely translate differently into the digital life. And so if you're not, I mean, the kind of parent that's going through swiping through messages and checking, everything and you're all on top of it, which is a whole nother conversation. But outside of that, do something proactively to keep your child safe on the device, even just conversation. And don't be scared to have those conversations of saying, if something weird were to happen, would you tell me? You need to be open enough and not judgmental to say, my kid never tells me what's going on in his phone. That needs to be a very open conversation. And I wish that it had been from that perspective. As a kid, I felt like I had to hide away from my dad, that I was a disappointment or an embarrassment, that I'd stumbled onto something that I shouldn't have, and that was my fault, and I was in the wrong for doing it. And that conversation just so early on with technology wasn't really a thing. But if a parent were to come alongside a child in that situation and say, hey, I'm here for you. I get that there's weird stuff that happens on a phone. If you want to talk about anything, just that conversation will open it up enough that I think a lot of parents could see a lot better about their kids in that. And, kids need the accountability and the accountability to just check in with them.
Well, as a parent, we can't ignore that technology is a part of our life. And so, but we can do what you're offering is let technology actually create the guardrails and create the boundaries and create the safe environment that then kids can explore freely in a safe place. And it's beautiful. Can I ask you, I should have asked, how about in the gaming? So I don't have Roblox on my phone. I get to test that, but how about I know there's solicitation in those kind of situations, and do you see this solution kind of protecting in the gaming space by chance?
Yes. So we're still in the process of building some additional things. I mean, that's all individual development is on the inside of apps, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, gaming, all of that sort of thing. So those are all sort of further out development type of things. But in general, there are ways that parents could just lock them down. Instagram has teen accounts, TikTok has teen accounts, Roblox has a child account where you can lock it down to say only certain chats come through. And I think we're trying to include those into GuardianLock, actively building them now. But from a now point of view, there's a lot you can do still to help
Well, I
that.
think they're going to try to solicit your kids through those platforms and then sometimes get them to take images of themselves or be exploited. And so what GuardianLock will prevent that from actually happening, that whatever happens in that container of that app, it's actually going to then, I think, protect them from doing anything that has to do with responding to a potential predator, for lack of a
Yes,
better word.
absolutely. Yeah.
Well, brother, I'm so thankful that you spent time with me. I'm so thankful that we were able to have this conversation. You're going to send QR codes and links and all this stuff on there. And I just encourage everyone. I mean, this is a young man doing the right thing in technology to on mission. I mean, this is beautiful. This is exactly what living with heart looks like. And so, Caden, man, I'm so appreciative of you and your boldness and your courage and sharing your story and using that to do amazing things that'll protect hundreds of thousands of kids and homes and families and such. And so, yeah, supporting solutions like yours is what we need to be doing. So, thank you again, brother.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
So if you enjoyed the M3 show and you want to watch all the new releases, click subscribe. You know how it works. Secondly, if you want to support my nonprofit, the one I established to fight human crimes like child exploitation and human trafficking and scams, click the QR code, scan it, make a donation. That would be hugely appreciated. And if you want to stay updated on all the music, again, I release music regularly. Go and click that link in the description, and we're on every major platform: Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube. You can look up Ian Mitchell. Thank you for what you're doing. Thank you for the support, and I look forward to being with you next time.
I am not done yet. I am not done yet.